smoke is quieting down. Seems like we've got to a lot of the smoke. Dub, you got smoke?
So Emanny from the Joe Budden podcast has been preparing for a marathon for the last few months. Emanny has been training non-stop and showing the fans his runs in the morning on IG and has been constantly talking about his journey. But something odd has come up when training for the run. And Emanny hasn't been accepted for the marathon, come to find out. And it doesn't look like he will participate. And the crew was confused, and so was I. But they made some jokes about it. Look at the files.
Well, man, Emanny wasn't accepted. And then we said, huh?
Yeah. He been giving me updates 40 minutes a day.
Now, am I in the Matrix?
I said, so?
I done spoke to this man on this pod. I seen him running in a summer Sunday.
Shoulders all broad.
We done spoke to him about this shit.
When?
And we said, well, does he know? Because we've been talking to him about a marathon. And then Kino said, the great Virgo storyteller he is, he said, well, yeah, he found out 2 months ago.
No.
And I said, Kino, I will punch you in your fucking face.
Same time. Hands to hips. Immediately.
He said,
Oh, God.
let's keep this one quiet for a
Yeah,
second.
let's do this on there.
To that you say, what?
I just spoke to Kino outside and spoke to him about the marathon, and Kino's exact words were, "We're going to figure it out."
Now, as you can see, Emanny knew 2 months ago that he wouldn't be participating in this marathon. But Kino gave him hope by saying they would figure it out. But this raises a question to me about why Emanny didn't fully disclose the truth to the cast when he initially found out. You know what I'm saying? Now, these are my files, right? I think maybe he didn't want to jinx his chances, and he believed he might, still get to participate. Or, he might have felt embarrassed about not being accepted and feared the cast would joke about it, which they kind of did already, Or maybe, Emanny might have spoken extensively about the marathon and didn't want to face the disappointment of not participating, especially after the build-up. Because he's been running, doing everything on his IG. It's kind of crazy. But this situation highlights a broader issue to me within the Joe Budden podcast. And I'm talking about vulnerability. Emanny, like the other cast members, chooses what to be open about. While he's comfortable discussing sex or certain family matters, the potential rejection from the marathon felt more personal and potentially more humiliating. This selective vulnerability reflects a nuanced dynamic within the group, where personal achievements and failures may be more sensitive topics than, private matters like sex and stuff like that. And Joe Budden, he expressed his shock. He was shocked, that Emanny didn't let them know about his marathon status 2 months ago. His reaction, it showed the importance of the transparency and trust within the cast. It also reveals potential communication gaps that might affect the group's, talking and everything that they do in the pod. But despite the initial setback, Emanny's situation could turn into a positive outcome. That's how I look at it. The public exposure of his marathon status might catch the attention of the marathon board, especially given the Joe Budden podcast, big influence in who they are. They're the number one broadcasters right now. You see Joe always say that. But using this podcast as a sponsor may help Emanny out, both for Emanny and the Joe Budden Network. enhancing, the Joe Budden Network's public image and Emanny's at the same time. It could serve as a promotional tool, showcasing the network support for its members. Like, yo, we showing support for, Emanny on the run. They may do something with Mel and yoga. You never know. But highlighting the podcast role and advocating for Emanny's participation could create a compelling narrative and perseverance and community support. But to me, I was also worried about Kino. Like, why did he feel like he could just say that and then tell him to keep it on the low? Kino's decision to let the other cast members, know about Emanny's marathon status while asking Joe to keep it quiet and say it on the pod, adds to another layer of the story to me. It suggests that, Kino could kind of, like, he could do whatever he want, say whatever he want. Like, that's kind of a conflict of interest, and it's complex, and Emanny probably wanted that to be, confidential. He probably didn't want everybody to know. Like, his facial expression changed when they even brought that up on a podcast. It's like Kino has a different comfort level when it comes to the Joe Budden podcast and sharing information and, being more strategic when it comes to the podcast aspect. And, maybe Emanny is not in on that side of the dynamics. But this situation with Emanny in the marathon, it reflects deeper issues of communication, vulnerability, and selective transparency within the Joe Budden podcast. Emanny's hope and silence, it shows a lot. It means a lot. Ish does it, Ice does it. Flipper's always pocket watching and trying to expose Joe for what he got going on. And all of this is a reflection of their relationship with Joe. So, and we'll be back with the files.